If there was one thing that could break a man faster than hunger on the frontier, it was thirst. The American frontier was not kind. It was a place where the line between survival and death was drawn by a canteen. Countless settlers, trappers, scouts and soldiers perished simply because they didn't understand how to find, preserve or purify water in unforgiving terrain. But those who survived, the ones who walked out of deserts, crossed mountain passes and came back from the brink, shared one secret: the frontier water trick. It wasn't luck, and it wasn't magic. It was practical survival wisdom, tested in the wild, passed down from indigenous knowledge and hardened frontiersmen who learned through trial and near death. During the 1800s, frontier explorers heading west faced a landscape where water sources could disappear overnight. Streams ran dry, wells turned brackish, and the open plains baked under relentless sun. Men who didn't know how to find water were often found dead beside their wagons, canteens empty. But those who knew where to look and how to use the land's hidden clues could survive when others could not. There's a recorded account from the 1840s of a group of settlers crossing Nevada's basin. Their guide, an old trapper named James Clyman, saved the entire caravan by using what he called the sponge trick. He followed a patch of dry grass downhill, dug into the sand where insects swarmed, and collected the seepage with a rag, wringing out enough water to fill several cups. This simple act, finding moisture where there appeared to be none, wasn't just clever, it was life-saving. And that principle remains as effective today as it was on the American frontier. The trick wasn't one method, it was a mindset. Frontier men and women learned to read the environment like a book. They knew that water follows certain natural laws. It always flows downhill, it collects where vegetation thrives, and it hides beneath the surface long after the surface dries out. The trick was to locate the signs that pointed to underground or residual water, then extract it safely. A common frontier method involved using a piece of cloth, sponge, or even animal hide to draw water out of damp soil. Scouts would start by searching for green plants such as willows, cottonwoods, or cattails, plants that thrive only where their roots can reach moisture. Once found, they dig about a foot down, often into sand or clay. Within minutes, moisture would start to seep into the hole. By pressing or laying cloth into the damp earth, they could soak up the moisture and wring it into a container. Repeating the process could yield several cups, enough to stave off dehydration until a larger source was found. This method was particularly common in the Great Basin, the Southwest and the Plains, regions where open water was scarce. Soldiers during the Mexican-American War and the Civil War's Western campaigns relied on similar techniques. Native American tribes had long practiced these survival methods, passing them on to traders and scouts who adapted them to their own needs. What made this trick so reliable was its grounding in basic hydrology. Even when streams dry up, groundwater remains trapped in soil layers. Certain types of sand, clay and plant root zones act like sponges, storing moisture below the surface. By tapping into that layer through shallow digging, one accesses capillary water, the moisture that clings to soil particles due to surface tension. It's not a spring or aquifer, but it's clean enough when filtered through cloth and boiled. Frontiersmen also learned to identify subtle indicators of nearby water. Ant trails often led toward moisture-rich ground. Birds, especially doves and pigeons, would circle water sources at dawn and dusk. Even temperature shifts in the evening air, cooler pockets in valleys or shaded ravines, often hinted at underground water. The trick wasn't just about digging randomly. It was about reading all these cues together. In modern times, this principle still holds. The same method can be used in survival situations where technology fails. Whether stranded in a desert or lost on a long hike, the frontier water trick remains one of the simplest and most effective ways to find and collect drinkable water without modern tools. The process can be replicated almost anywhere, provided you understand the terrain. If you're in a dry area and need water, start early in the morning when the ground still holds overnight moisture. Look for areas where vegetation seems slightly greener or thicker. Dig down at the lowest point of that patch, especially near the base of hills or dried riverbeds. When moisture appears, press a shirt, bandana or sponge into the damp soil. Let it absorb as much as possible and wring it out into your container. To make the water safe, boil it for at least 10 minutes, or use purification tablets if you have them. The boiling not only kills pathogens, but also concentrates minerals, making it safer to drink long-term. In extreme emergencies, even unboiled water from this method can keep you alive until you reach safety. For anyone living off-grid, homesteading or training for survival, practicing this method in a controlled environment is invaluable. It teaches how to spot moisture indicators and how to use minimal gear to achieve maximum results, exactly as the frontiersmen did. The technique can also be scaled up. Small trenches lined with grass and covered with plastic can condense morning dew, creating a simple solar still, a modern adaptation of the same principles. The men and women who ventured into the unknown American wilderness didn't survive because they had superior gear. They survived because they understood the land. The frontier water trick represents that quiet intelligence born from hardship. It's proof that knowledge and observation can overcome even the harshest conditions. In an age where we depend on bottled water, GPS apps, and filters, it's easy to forget that survival once depended on understanding the subtle language of the earth itself. Every frontiersman who found water where none seemed to exist proved a lesson still relevant today. Real security comes from skill, not equipment. Today, survival schools, military programs, and wilderness instructors still teach variations of the same technique used by 19th century pioneers. The method endures because it requires no tools, no technology, just awareness. From Australian outback training programs to modern United States Air Force survival courses, the principle is the same. Where there is vegetation, there is water, even if hidden beneath the surface. Understanding this trick connects us directly to the resilience of our ancestors. They faced the same desperation we might in a crisis, and overcame it through observation, patience, and skill. Their lessons remain not just history, but a manual for endurance. The frontier water trick wasn't just a clever method. It was a lifeline for thousands who braved the wilderness. It's a reminder that history's lessons aren't just about the past. They're tools for survival today. The earth still hides water the same way it did centuries ago, waiting for those who know how to look. If this deep dive into forgotten frontier ingenuity stirred something in you, make sure to subscribe to Echoes of Valor and share this video with fellow history enthusiasts and survivalists. The wisdom of the past doesn't belong in museums. It belongs in our hands, ready for the day we need it most. Echoes of Valor.